Hello, everyone. It is Mike Levin. My name is my website. And I thought I'd invite you along as I do a ChatGPT assisted project. Now, there's a lot of talk these days that mid-level coders are out of work. And it's because, ChatGPT can write for you, can code for you. So can it? This has been aided by ChatGPT for sure. You can see some of my sessions leading up to this, connecting to the Twitter API. And one of the instructions it gave me was how to connect to the API. And it gave me a line that was not correct. So I fixed it. It turned out to only require the bearer token, but I fixed so it tells you to get sign up as a developer at Twitter, create a project, and then get your key and your secret key, so your API code and your secret code, and then also something called a bearer token. And the bearer token, it turns out, is all you really need to log in. So it didn't tell me how to do this. This is one of those great Pythonic tricks, the nuances that are getting lost in ChatGPT. So I stacked all three of these things, the API key, the API secret, and the bearer token, on top of each other, just in a plain old text file. And then I read it, splitting on the line returns and using tuple unpacking to put one in each of these values. So right off the bat, my code is way better than what ChatGPT provides. They lifted it from somewhere. It's about the equivalent of surfing Stack Overflow or GitHub in search of an answer. It's not going to be any better than the person providing the examples. So this creates the authenticated instance to Twitter using the Tweepy, pip install Tweepy. And I guess that actually does it. This creates an instance of the API using the authenticated Twitter connection. Set my username to Mike Levin. And now I'm going to fill in some backfill. This is from SQLdict, import SQLdict as SQLdict, from SQLiteDict. And so this is one of the important lines. You'll never, ever find this in a GPT chat example. And this is how you make Python dictionaries consistent. This is one of the paths to it, in my opinion, the easiest path to it. So with an open connection to a file that does not exist yet, so I'll actually go into the data file for this, right? So I'm in my practice directory. Whoops, not that one. I am in this practice directory. And I am saving data into the tweets directory. And you can see this raw backfill that I did yesterday in this tweets.db from a short while ago. So I'll actually go ahead and delete that backfill. And what this is going to do is it's going to spin through, and I'll delete this one as well so you can see them get created. It's going to spin through my entire Twitter account and just capture literally the raw backfill. So I'm asking for the extended tweets, so I'll get the non-truncated tweets. I'm setting count to 200, and then I'm setting max ID on the initial pass to none. And then I parse the string out of it, and here I parse the string out of it. And then I, while true, empty it out. So it goes until there are no tweets left, and that'll create that backfill file. Using as the key, this is the interesting thing, the max ID that was done. So there are going to be records that are chunked up in groups of 200. Yeah, all right, SQLdict not defined. It helps when I actually run the stuff from the top down, right? So there, it's hitting the Twitter API right now, spinning through. I should probably have some output between rows, but it doesn't take long. That emptied out my entire, it didn't empty it, it didn't delete it, but that got every tweet I had done since 2007 when I joined Twitter, and there it is sitting there as a SQLite file. All right, so now to deconstruct it, we step through that, and then we open a connection to another database, right? One gets the file handle DB, and the other gets the file handle DB2. And so for max ID and DB, the outer one, tweets equals one of those records. And then for each tweet in that batched up group of 200 tweets, I write to the second database using the tweets string ID as the ID in the dictionary, and I set it equal to tweet. And that's, for tweet and tweet. So this will deconstruct the batched up ones from here and create another database sitting side by side with a raw backfill, this new one being the actual extracted tweets. And all this, and you still haven't seen the contents of a single tweet. Well, I could show it to you. I could open a cell above this one and then show you, because whenever you step through things in a loop, the last step of the loop is going to be there. And it's big and ugly and has much more than I need for my purpose. So I am doing an extraction from that. One more spinning through tweets. See, this one was filling the backfill. This one was creating the tweets database from the backfill. Now this goes through the tweets database and builds a table. For each row of the table, I'm capturing the tweet ID, the create date, the full text of the tweet, and the URL extracted. And you're catching me right while I'm getting ready to break down those URLs that it gives me, which are the Twitter short URLs, into the fully resolved ones. And maybe I'll have you along with that work session. And here, import pandas as PD, right? Because once you have something like a table like that, and you've got some column names for your table, what better than to load it into a pandas data frame? Table not defined. Did I not run this one? I just didn't run that one. So it's spinning through this one here, and it's just lightly picking off the data pieces it needs from each tweet, building it into a giant table being much like a SQL table or an Excel tab, but all in memory at first, right? And this is one of the most common patterns. Again, you won't see it all that often on ChatGPT. They don't show the best patterns for this stuff. So now, there it is as a data frame. This is every tweet since I joined on board Twitter. It's saying only 3,240, and I do have to investigate that, because that doesn't seem right. If we go to twitter.com/me, yeah, it used to tell you the number of tweets, and I was way up there. I wonder if they purged out or they're filtering it, but I definitely need to see why that number is smaller than I thought it was going to be. But it's a start, and it certainly is a GPT assisted project. I would like to bring you to these earlier ones, connect to Twitter API, but it's just not that responsive right now. It's not bringing up my old questions. You can only go back so far. But it does have my question on a lot of good stuff, Python HTTP redirects. So I'm going to get the end of a redirect chain, because if you look at these URLs, they're all these short t.co URLs. And when it spins through here, I can do it separately now that I have a data frame. What we can do is we can write a quick function. I'll throw in a pandas apply. Oh, look at that. That's not purely the URL. I have to check whether HTTPS is in the end. And when it's not, I'm probably chopping off the last word here. That's very interesting. So I'm grabbing the URL, assuming it's the last bit of text in the tweet. But apparently it's not. So I don't like this technique of setting either the full text or the URL. So I'm going to change this before your eyes. You're going to see me go from an old method. Full text is just going to stay full text. I'm not going to grab those parts and do this parts thing. I figured it was easier to reach into the parts of the full text and grab the seemingly always present URL than it was to grab the URL itself out of a tweet. But that is not entirely true. So what we want to do is we want to break this one after one loop and look at a typical tweet. Well, this is the one that does the extraction, so we're going to break this one after one loop and look at a typical tweet. So I hit A for above, I type tweet in, and it's really big and ugly, right? So I'll show these tricks, right? So you want to import pprint from pprint. That's pretty print. Now, oh yeah, from pprint imports pprint. And now you can pprint this, but you can tell because this word is here, you can tell it's a data class or something along those lines. And so pprint isn't going to work on it directly, right? I can try pprint around that, but it's not going to be able to format that. And it's a subtle thing to really be able to tell by looking at it. I know that pprint formats JSON objects very nicely. And so when you look at the tweet on its own, you can see one of the first things here is a JSON object. So you can reach right for that .json, ._JSON. It's an internal thing. Not so internal that it's using double underscores, but nonetheless. And now in that, I can grab things from directly out of there. It's already p-printed for all intents and purposes, right? Jupyter is stepping in and making it look pretty. So we look for URL. And there's something called URLs plural, and it's empty. But if we looked at the text itself, oh, see, that one doesn't have one there. That's very interesting. But we do want always the URL for the tweet itself. And so that looks like that can be found. Probably this one. Oh, that's my personal site. Entities, URL. Personal site again. Profile stuff. So somewhere in here, one of these URLs is the URL to the tweet itself. And see, they even have expanded URLs, so you don't go through the trouble of expanding short ones on your own. So these all have to do with my profile. I can see that here. And so some URLs some tweets just don't have their URLs embedded into them to get back to the original tweet. That almost does not seem correct. So I'll double check these again, right? So it can't be these because you see the expanded. It can't be that because you see the expanded. So it could be this one, but I thought I already tried that one. But there's these two here. I'll try that. Yep, my site. And then the one beneath it. And my site again, right? So none of these are shortened URLs to Twitter itself on this tweet. That's what I'm actually looking for. What a shame. So do tweets have IDs on them directly? That's a question, right? When I respond to someone, because this last one that I'm looking at is under tweets and replies, it's me saying, I have too many ideas, help. And I responded, tweet your ideas, write a script that gathers up your tweets and makes a web page out of them. It's a place for you to organize and draw from later, or to share the ideas with others, more organized than a Twitter stream. And there's 2 likes on that already. And then I say, let me know if you'd like a tutorial. I'll make a video maybe today for you. I'm doing I'm doing for myself anyway, which is what I'm actually doing. This is what you see me doing, right? Very meta. So that URL that I'm actually looking at here in Jupyter, if we look at the text in it, it's this let me know if you'd like a tutorial one. Maybe it doesn't have a URL, right? Maybe that's this one here. And that has an ID right here. And let's see if those IDs are the ones that bring up the tweets, right? So first we open a new tab. Twitter.com, my username /status. Oh, it doesn't need to be tested. That's clearly doing it. I just need to see if that is the same thing as the tweet ID. And there it is. Look at that. Totally the same thing. So we can build our own links to these URLs. So that would just be a F string, URL equals copy and paste ID. I should have typed that one. But now this opening part is this. And that gets away the need to do all that HTTP resolving. I was planning on going through and getting the end of a redirect chain to expand out those t.cos, I think they are, those short URLs that Twitter uses. But now I don't have to. I just set the URL equal to that. Now we run that. We don't need the pprint. And we don't need the tweet.json. And we can look at it again. Oh, I didn't populate it. Oh, I broke it here, so I get rid of that break. So since I redefined what a URL column was, and I did that here, I rebuild the table. So can GPT chat do it all for you? No, GPT chat is not going to get the nuance. That's for one, right? Might not even get it correct. So there's the factual details of whether it's what it's producing is works or not. Then there's login and credential issues. It does not have your login and credentials. So merely based on that fact, it has to drop into the hands of humans for the projects to be carried out. Okay, that's the second thing. And then let's see, there's more, but you know, it can't copy and paste it into your live systems. It can't yet do the actual work. So I promised turning this into a web page, right? So let's do that. Let's turn this into a web page. Now there's little easier than actual markdown files, right? So 3,240 tweets, lower than my actual number, but it's not so many tweets that you can't just stick them onto a web page. And let's do that to get started. I should probably break this into a second video, but I'm just going to keep using my momentum here, right? So this is df equals. So now you have a data frame, which is all your tweets, right? And I'll show the same thing. And, you know, to turn that into a web page, I can work off of the data frame, or I can work off of the table thing. The data frame is almost an interesting, oh, by the way, but I'm going to work in plain old loops. So, you know, for row and table. And forget about the data frame right now, right? And if you just want to see stuff happen, right, I comma row in enumerate table, that tells you that you're going to get a counter, and you can just throw the word pass in there, and you can put an I down here. You can double check that you're iterating through all those rows that you created of that table. That's like the first step. That's a deep breath. A hi, how you doing? And to turn it into HTML, you need a little bit of front matter. You need to pattern it after an existing page. So let's say with open, and I'll put it directly into a location where it'll get published. I can just automatically publish this. So you can see I'm in practice tweets, but I can always go to where I know the my published files are, which is I put them in hide because there's really no reason for people to see a bunch of directories like, you know, my work and journal directories and stuff. So I try and keep everything up here in this sort of top level with very few in-use ones. And then I go up and over into hide and then into mikelev.in, and then a file that I'll put there with markdown. So I'll just call it tweets.md. And when you do a with open, you got to use a file handle. So as fh for file handle. And it's often very good to say you're doing it for writing, and it's going to be a text file, wt for text, write text. And now I'll bring up text editor. And I will cd into hide Mike Levin, and I will vim tweets.md. And you'll see there's nothing there. It's trying to create a new file, so I'm going to quit out of that. And I'm just going to run one line with, fh.write. And I think it's just write as a single line. You can probably write line as well, but we'll go test. Right? And you just do that. And now I go over here and I bring it up, and there's the word test in there. It's that easy to write to a file. And you know how easy markdown is to do, so I'm going to vim a template. Vim template. Do I not have a template here? Okay, I'm going to vim one of my standard files that I keep around for this sort of use. Let's say vim.tx.md, because I've got a page for Vim, and I can just grab the header text off of that and quit and go back here, and fh.write. See how I put that into a variable, right? And when you do triple quotes, that's all a single thing, and you can set a variable to that. So this is front matter. Front matter equals your little triple quotes, and then your multi-line entry. And the title will be tweets. The group will be homepage for now. The permalink will be tweets. And, the page of all my tweets. I'll probably do that a little bit better in the future, but now this is a big test between write and write lines, right? So I'll just see what writing that in there does. And there it is. So we got something with front matter. Couldn't hurt to have an extra line there, a line and a space, and then we just start writing into that file with open append. So write t equals becomes append t, right? And now we can do a for loop through our table, right? I think I already started to do that here. That'd be this piece of code. And I can write a single line in there here just to make sure that it's a foo test. And there's the end, and there's foo. So to get the extra lines in there, that's something we're going to have to really keep an eye on. Because you see, this didn't work here, so there's probably some sort of strip going on, which is absolutely fine. So we can write to the file. This is where we try write line, write underscore line. Yeah, I think write lines would do it if it happened to have been a list. Let's see what that does. So it's appending. So without rerunning this first one that creates it, you're going to get multiple foos. So it wasn't a real valid test until I did that. And write lines, it almost doesn't matter. We're going to write a line at a time as we go through the loop. So I'll stick with write line. But you saw foo occur. And then that last thing I really wanted to do is to just get a couple of line returns to assert our control over the line return. So these two I almost ought to join into one group, because this creates the file, this appends to the file, right? So now it's something a little closer to what I'm expecting. There's foo 2 lines down, right? So let's get all the tweets in that text file. We're already doing the loop, and we can take out that. We just move it down there. And Markdown does a lot of the lovely work for you, because it takes care of a lot of HTML formatting. All right, so we'll just write some of these rows in there. The title should be probably an H2, right? So 2 line returns, an H2, and so, okay, you have a row, so we're going to reverse out the values in the row, right? If I put it in like this, if that's what a row equals, and then so here's the very Pythonic thing, the tuple unpacking. All these values equal what's found in the row. So now I can use words like, you know, oh, there is no title per se, is there? Yeah, so every tweet just gets its own, I'll use an H2 as a date for now. I know it's not the best thing, but we turn that into an F string just by sticking an F before that. And now we can do values like this inside curly brackets. And that's 2 lines before it. And then we'll just do each of the others with 1 line before it. That's probably where write line and those types of things come in. They automatically put in the line returns when you're writing to a file. So I'm controlling them kind of explicitly. I'm going to put the full text in here. And the URL, no one needs to really see the ID, especially when the URL is there. Now I'll probably turn the URL into a real URL. And we'll talk about that in a minute. I'll keep these in F strings, even though only the create date will be in an H2. All the rest this will be normal paragraph text, and this will just be a URL butt up against it. And then I'll hyperlink that soon. So we'll do that, and then we'll go over here and we'll look at the page we created, right? So, you know, that's not completely unreasonable. That, you know, when it was published, I could probably make that a bit more friendly. But it's a starting place, right? It's not bad. Not everything will be formatted correctly. Things like this might need me to step in and do some special formatting to make like poems look like poems. But again, for right now, I'm not going to sweat it. Look, I just created a page which when pushed out, let's do that. Git add tweets.md. All right, so now we go over to Chrome, and I'll look at the pages being rendered. I've got a special link there for when I didn't commit it. I just added it. So git commit tweet page. And then I'll work out how to get that script, like a modified version of it, to keep pushing out the updated tweets on a scheduled basis. I'm going to go there with all this, right? When you fill in where ChatGPT leaves off, it very much includes how do you get a server running? You know, where do you copy paste code to? Once you get it working in Jupyter Notebook, how do you get it scheduled 24/7? So all these answers are not entirely forthcoming because of implementation details and nuance. And you'll see here that this last deployment will turn orange as soon as it detects the fact that I did a git push, right? See this git push here to McLevin gets detected here under the GitHub pages. This is a vendor dependency I rely on, but all it is a Jekyll system. It's a continuous integration and delivery. Detecting that I did a git push. Well, it should be detecting, right? Why does it not know? I get pushed. I added a page. Yeah, 2 files changed, a lot of insertions, right? That knows it's there. Oh, I just git committed. Yeah, I git added, git add tweets, git commit, git push. Oh, I did an add and a commit, and I didn't do a push. I am sorry. It's got to be all this gobbledygook here. And now, like magic, this page should just detect that git push having occurred. There, you see, saw it turn to yellow, right? This is the 1,144th time I've done a pages build deployment. And so we'll do a before and after. That's a little spinning orange thing. And I guess I'll go over to a normal web browser like this, and I'll pull up mikelev.in/tweets. It's going to be a 404 page, not found. File not found, but perhaps you would like some of my poetry. I should put my spinning logo here. Oh, there. The spinning logo is always there, isn't it? All right. So we're waiting for this to turn back from orange back to green, which is what tells us it's fully deployed. If you have aspirations of doing work like this and you have a GitHub account, I don't know why you're not doing it already, because it's so friggin' easy. All you have to do is drop a markdown file into a GitHub repo with it configured correctly through settings, GitHub pages, and you're publishing. You choose a style and everything, and it'll just push it out there. So watch. You've seen me go completely now from beginning to end on the project of creating a page of my tweets and getting them published. Partially ChatGPT assisted, but just as much, rolling my eyes going, I can't believe it's telling me to do that, or there should be a better way. So we do a refresh, and there's my tweet page, right? I can link it in, I can give it better headlines, but you know, these are my tweets going back to 2016. That's what's going on. It doesn't go back to 2007. So my backfill isn't done. Apparently I reached some sort of limit. So I'll be overcoming that limit, and I'll be going through all my tweets, finishing out the backfill, and maybe I'll slice and dice this into separate pages. Maybe I'll do some machine learning to automatically keyword categorize my tweets based on, you know, unsupervised learning, extract keywords, make keyword clusters, and have multiple pages of my tweets grouped by topic. Maybe I can even create a title for them that's extracted out of the tweet itself. There's a lot of directions I can go, but there you have it. That's a real page living live now on my website. It's a pretty good video, right? So if you have any questions, I definitely have to change the size so that people see their stuff down there. When you land right on my page, you might not know to scroll. So maybe I'll just make some max width and have it shrunk down. It's really designed to work nicely on mobile and truly any size, right? Look at that thing rescale. Rotating logo and all rescaling. So I am Mike Levin, discussing all things Linux, Python, Vim, and Git SEO with you during the rise of the machines. Come to me for your solace of sorrow and how to do nifty little projects like this. Thanks for joining me. Hope to see you again soon. Don't forget to subscribe.